Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parsha is Vayishlah. And the story picks up at the time of the Jacob narrative, where after 22 years of being in self-imposed exile in Haran, Yaakov is finally returning home to Eretz Yisrael. And for 22 years, he has been dreading the moment. This moment when he is going to meet his brother Esav, the brother from whom he fled so many years ago, who had vowed to kill him. And one can almost imagine exactly what Yaakov is feeling as he prepares for this encounter with Esav. And he hears that Esav has come forward with 400 men. And you can rest assured that Esav had foul play in mind. And so, Yaakov does a number of things to prepare, but the Torah describes, as they see each other from afar, that Yaakov falls on his face 7 times. And finally, when they get close enough to each other, the Torah gives us a beautiful description of how the brothers ran to each other. They fell on their necks, and they kissed, and they cried. Can you imagine how beautiful that must have been? Here it seems that all of the anger, all of the hurt, all of the rehearsed injustices that Esav lived with melted away. And all of Yaakov's guilt and fear and anxiety fled when the brothers finally saw each other. But there's something curious in the biblical text itself on this verse, that over the word "and they kissed" are dots called diacritical marks. And scholars tell us that these marks were put in many hundreds of years ago, perhaps thousands of years ago, by a scribe who wanted to bring our attention to this word. Perhaps he put the dots there because there were other biblical texts from which he was copying that didn't have the word "and they kissed," but rather simply said, "and they ran to each other, they fell on their necks, and they cried." Or else, as an ancient midrash, the Sifrei, reads it, there's something else the scribe was telling us, to focus our attention on this word "and they kissed." What is the nature of this kiss? And not surprisingly, there are 2 opinions. One is that the scribe wanted us to know that Esav kissed Yaakov with a full heart. Even though Esav hated Yaakov, even though Esav wanted to kill Yaakov, at this moment, all of that died away, and he kissed him with a full heart, and he cried real tears. The other opinion is, once a hater, always a hater. And Esav could not be trusted, and that's why those dots are there. Don't believe for a moment, the one who reads the work of the scribe tells us, don't believe for a moment that Esav meant it, but rather, not that he tried to kiss Yaakov, but that he tried to bite Yaakov. And God turned Yaakov's neck into marble. And the reason that Esav cried was because he bit in with all of his might into a neck of marble. And he was not crying over his brother, he was crying over his teeth. So this is one thing we learn from this, that it is possible to see an event and interpret that event in a number of different ways, either positively or negatively. And the harsh reality is that most of us go to the negative. And that's why the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Dan et kol adam b'chaf zchut, judge every person on the scale of merit. You should see the good in the event. And we should read this kiss like the first scholar in the Sifrei did, that Esav, even Esav, had a moment of pure love, and he kissed his brother with all of his heart. And if Esav can do that, then certainly you and I can do that as well. Let go of angers. Stop rehearsing the injustices that were done to us. Stop living revenge fantasies. But get to a place where we, like Esav, can kiss and make up with a full heart. Shabbat Shalom. May you have a Zis and Shabbos, and I'll see you in Shul.